If you grew up in New York in the 70s and 80s, then you most likely heard of the legend of Cropsey. Turns out Cropsey wasn't just an urban legend used to scare people. It actually is rooted in some truth. And turns out it's this guy right here, Andre Rand, who was actually born Frank Rushan, but changed his name later on to Andre Rand. He was first arrested in the Bronx for trying to essay a 9-year-old girl who he lured into his car. He was found in the car taking his and her clothes off by a passing officer. He was arrested and was sentenced to 4 years, but only served 16 months. And when he got out, he changed his name to Andre Rand. He worked at Willowbrook State School in Staten Island. And Willowbrook State School is one of those state hospitals that it just you hear about in like movies and stories with the deplorable conditions and questionable medical practices and experiments. It was like that kind of place. And Geraldo Rivera even did a investigation of the place, did an episode on that. And he was only convicted for 2 kidnappings, although he was suspected for at least 6 disappearances and murders. So of the 2 convictions, one was a 7-year-old girl named Holly Ann Hughes, who was last seen leaving her house when she was sent by her mother to get a bar of soap. And she was seen in the store at around 9:30 at night getting the bar of soap. And then that was the last time that anybody had seen her. Witnesses did say that they saw her in Rand's car. And he did admit that he said he played hide and seek with her, but then gave her money for the soap and left her and doesn't know anything about her disappearance. Her mother did get calls from a guy who identified himself as Sal and said that he had Holly and that he would return her if her mother did sexual favors on camera. She went with detectives to Penn Station to meet up with Sal. He obviously never showed up. And when Rand was questioned later, her mother did say that his voice was the same that she heard on the phone, the same voice as the guy who identified himself as Sal. The next conviction was a 12-year-old girl named Jennifer Schwieger, who was born with Down syndrome. And witnesses, again, said that they saw Schwieger with Rand. And Schwieger's body was found after a 35-day search around the Willowbrook State School woods. And she was found in a shallow grave. And next to this shallow grave, one of Rand's many makeshift campsites was found. So these were the 2 girls that he was actually convicted for kidnapping. He was never convicted of their murder, as supposedly there was not enough evidence to put any murder on him, but he was convicted of their kidnapping. And so of the suspected victims, one was a 7-year-old girl named Alice Pereira who vanished on July 7th in 1972. She was playing with her brother in an apartment building in the Tyson's Lane apartments. She was playing with her brother, and when her brother briefly left her, lost sight of her, she vanished. When he came back, he didn't see her, and she was never seen or heard from again. Rand is a suspect because he was actually he actually worked in the apartments at the time as a painter. Another is Ethel Louise Atwell, a 42-year-old physical therapy assistant who worked in Willowbrook State School. Employees at the state school said that they heard a man saying, come on, at around 6:30 a.m. And they heard Atwell say, no, you'll beat me. And shortly after that, they heard her scream. When they searched for her, they found some of her belongings next to her car, which was locked, and about 75 feet away were her car keys in the woods, 75 feet away in the woods from Willowbrook State School. Another worker at Willowbrook State School was Shin Lee, a 44-year-old nurse who had gone missing earlier that same year as Atwell under similar circumstances. Her body was actually found, and it was determined that she was killed from strangulation. And her body was also found in a shallow grave, just like Jennifer Schwieger. Another was an 11-year-old girl by the name of Tia Heath Jackson, who was staying at the Mariners Harbor Motel with her mother on Forest Avenue in Staten Island. And a resident of the motel had sent her out to get chicken wings while her mother was sleeping. and she was never seen or heard from again. She never returned. Her mother did say that a man was loitering in the parking lot who fit the description of Rand. Hank Gafforio, a 22-year-old from Staten Island, went missing after on June 8 in 1984 after he went to a bar. He went out drinking, and witnesses said that he was spotted at a diner with Rand. His body also was never found. He was determined to be a little slow, mentally slow. They said he had an IQ of 70, and he actually lived in around the corner from Rand's aunt and on the same block as Rand's aunt and around the corner from Holly Hughes. So it is believed that Rand was part of some like satanic cult. A lot of people, including detectives at the time, believed that he was part of some kind of satanic cult. And this is, again, at the time of the satanic panic. So it was believed that he was part of something like that, or at the very least that he wasn't working alone, that he had friends in this like underground network of mentally ill and homeless people living under the tunnels of Willowbrook State School. So again, he was only convicted for the 2 kidnappings, where he'll be spending a 25 to life sentence for each of them, and he won't be eligible for parole until 2037, when he'll be 93 years old. It should also mention that while he was incarcerated, he supposedly confessed to the murder of Holly Hughes to an inmate, and he compared himself to Ted Bundy, saying that Ted Bundy liked older women, but that he liked children. So there you have it. Urban legends, again, can be fun, intriguing stories that we use to entertain or scare each other, but sometimes they turn out to be all too real.